A queen who will do anything to have a child. Two elderly sisters hiding in the dark to trick a king into bed. And a young girl forced to marry a monster who grew from a drop of blood on her father's hand. This is Tale of Tales 2015. 3 stories, 3 kingdoms, and not a single happy ending for anyone who deserves one. Welcome back to WordCap. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe before we continue. Now let us get into it. Our first story takes us to a kingdom called Long Trellis, where a king and queen live what looks from the outside like a perfect life. But underneath the surface, the queen is carrying something heavy. She has a medical condition that makes it impossible for her to conceive a child, and it is slowly consuming her from the inside out. The king watches his wife fall deeper into sadness every day and does everything he can think of to fix it. He brings in the best doctors and physicians from across the entire realm. None of them can diagnose her. None of them can help her. One day he invites circus performers to the palace, hoping the entertainment will lift her spirits. It almost works until the queen notices that one of the performers is visibly pregnant. Something breaks inside her. She goes back to her chamber and starts smashing everything in sight. When the king finds out, he goes straight to her and tells her he will go to any length. Whatever it takes. He means it. That same night, a necromancer arrives at the castle. He tells the king he can solve the queen's problem. The king is skeptical because plenty of people have made that claim before and walked away having achieved nothing. But the necromancer is different. He is completely calm and completely certain. He tells the king that nature must always remain in balance. If you want a life, you have to give one. The king does not hesitate. He tells him to name his price. The necromancer lays out the process. The king must go and hunt a sea monster. The monster's heart will be removed and given to a pure unmarried woman to cook. The queen will then eat it. If everything is done exactly as described, the queen will conceive a child. The king agrees on the spot and starts preparing immediately. The next day he goes out and finds the creature in one of the rivers. He waits until it is sleeping and then walks into the water to attack it. The fight is brutal. He manages to kill the monster, but the injuries he sustains in the process are severe. He removes the heart before his strength gives out completely, and then he dies from his wounds right there on the riverbank. The queen returns to the castle with the heart wrapped in cloth. A maid at the castle is identified as pure and unmarried and is given the task of preparing it. While she is cooking, something strange happens to her. She feels sensations she cannot explain and realizes she has become pregnant. The queen eats the heart and she too becomes pregnant. 2 women, 1 heart, both with child at the same time. They give birth on the same night. The queen's son is named Elias. The maid's son is named Jonah. The boys come out looking identical. The same face. The same white hair that marks them both as children of the sea monster in some way that nobody fully understands. The story skips forward 16 years. Elias and Jonah have grown into young men and they are completely inseparable. The queen cannot stand it. She tells Elias repeatedly that a prince has no business being friends with a servant's son. Elias ignores her completely every single time. As it turns out, the 2 boys have an unusual ability. They can breathe underwater. Another reminder that there is something not entirely ordinary about either of them. The queen eventually gets serious about ending the friendship. She threatens the maid directly. Keep your son away from mine or you and your boy will be expelled from the kingdom. Changes nothing. They keep meeting. Then one day Jonah does something that crosses a line. He borrows Elias's clothes and goes to see the queen wearing them. When she realizes who she is actually looking at, she makes her decision immediately. Jonah is to be exiled. Elias tries to stop it and fails. Before Jonah leaves, he takes his knife and cuts into a tree near the castle. Water begins to flow from the cut. He tells Elias to watch it. As long as the water runs clear, he is alive and safe. The moment it turns red, something has gone wrong. Then he walks away and does not look back. Elias checks the tree constantly. For a long time, the water stays clear. Then one day it runs red. He does not tell his mother. He just leaves. He searches for a long time before he finally finds the village where Jonah has been living. The people there keep calling him Jonah because the resemblance is so strong. He learns that Jonah went into the forest 5 days ago and never came back. Elias goes in after him. Back at the castle, the queen has noticed her son is gone. She is frantic. With no other options, she goes back to the necromancer. He tells her the same thing he told her husband all those years ago. If you want your child to return, you have to sacrifice a life. The queen agrees without hesitation. Deep in the forest, Elias finds Jonah injured inside a cave. A flying creature is attacking him. Elias draws his sword and kills it. He saves Jonah. What he does not know, and what the film makes clear only in hindsight, is that the creature he just killed was his own mother. That was the life she agreed to sacrifice. Life for life. The deal the necromancer made with her husband decades ago has now come full circle and claimed her too. Elias inherits the throne. The first story ends there. The second story takes us to a different kingdom with a very different kind of problem. This king is not a grieving husband or a devoted father. He is a drunk who spends most of his time surrounded by women and has somehow never managed to find a queen despite having every resource available to him. Living near the palace are two elderly sisters named Dora and Ima. They almost never leave their house. They have no suitors. They fully expect to die there alone and unbothered. But their voices are extraordinary, young and beautiful and completely at odds with their actual appearance. One morning the king passes by and hears Dora singing. He is immediately captivated. He decides he has to meet her. He goes to their door and knocks. The sisters panic. If the king sees what they actually look like, he will be furious at being deceived. They think fast and Dora asks him to come back in a week. She needs time to prepare herself. The king agrees and leaves. For the next 7 days, the sisters try everything they can think of to make themselves look younger. Dora wraps her hands in herbs. They still look exactly like the hands of an elderly woman. Ima, however, has been keeping one finger in her mouth for days, and when she holds it up, it genuinely looks smooth and young. When the king comes back, Dora shows him Ima's finger instead of her own through the door. The king looks at this one beautiful finger and convinces himself he has found the love of his life. The sisters know they are in serious trouble. If he ever sees the full picture, he is going to be furious. Dora proposes a condition. She will spend the night with the king only in complete darkness. Not a single candle. The king accepts. Before she goes to the palace, the sisters strap her body tightly with cloths and glue, trying to give her figure the shape of a younger woman. At midnight, a guard comes to collect her, and she is taken through the dark to the king's chamber. Everything goes as planned under the cover of darkness. But in the morning, the light comes in and the king opens his eyes. He is enraged. He calls his guards immediately and has Dora thrown out of the window. Somehow she survives the fall. She lands in the forest below the palace and lies there broken until a witch finds her. The witch looks at her and uses her power to transform her completely. Young skin, long hair, beautiful in a way she has never been in her entire life. The next day, the king comes out to hunt and finds her in the forest. He falls in love with her on the spot and decides to make her his queen. Dora has no idea how any of this happened, but she is not asking questions. She invites her sister Ima to the wedding. Ima looks at her in complete disbelief and asks what happened. "How did you become like this?" Dora tells her she had her old skin peeled off. She says it sarcastically as a joke. Ima takes it completely literally. She goes to a local ironsmith and offers him her necklace in exchange for doing the same to her. The ironsmith takes her out into the forest, ties her to a tree, and removes her skin entirely. Ima makes it back to the castle in whatever condition she has left. She does not survive it. As for Dora, the magic does not last. The transformation was never permanent. She starts to feel her skin folding and shifting, and she realizes she is changing back. She runs from the castle before anyone can see what is happening to her. The king never finds out. The second story ends with Dora alone in the forest, becoming old again, and everything she had for that brief time gone. The third story is the strangest of the three. This king lost his queen long ago and has a daughter named Violet who is growing into a young woman who dreams of marrying a prince. The king barely notices. He is completely preoccupied with something else. One day, a small parasite insect lands on his hand and begins feeding on his blood. Any normal person would brush it off. This king lets it feed. He keeps it. He puts it in a glass box and watches it every day. As Violet grows up, so does the insect. It gets larger and larger, fed on royal blood, until it is the size of something that should not exist. Then the parasite gets sick and dies. The king is genuinely devastated. He skins it carefully and announces a competition across the kingdom. Whoever can correctly identify what creature the skin came from will marry his daughter Violet. People come from everywhere and fail completely because the insect had grown so far beyond its natural size that nobody recognizes it. Then an ogre arrives. He picks up the skin and smells it. He identifies it immediately and correctly. The king keeps his word. Violet is to marry the ogre. Violet is horrified. She tries to find a way out of it. The king tells her he cannot break a promise. She is taken far into the mountains to the ogre's home. While the ogre is out hunting one day, she looks out across the valley and spots a woman on a nearby mountain. She begs her for help. The woman comes back the next day with her family, and they begin crossing over to get to Violet. But the ogre comes back, and as they are trying to cut the rope bridge to stop him, he grabs several of them. He hunts the family down one by one over the following days until he finally chases Violet herself into a cave. Inside the cave, the ogre grabs her and starts hugging her. Violet forces herself to stay calm. She pretends to return the affection until the moment his guard drops completely. Then she pulls out a knife and kills him. She walks back to her father's palace carrying the ogre's severed head. She sets it down in front of the entire court and looks at the king and tells him through tears that this is the husband he chose for her. The king stares at the head and at his daughter and cannot speak. In the final scene, Violet takes the throne. The king, who was too busy feeding a parasite to care about his own daughter, watches his daughter become queen. The story ends there. Tale of Tales is a film that is beautiful and deeply uncomfortable in equal measure. 3 kings. 3 different kinds of failure. 1 obsessed with power over nature. 1 obsessed with beauty and desire. 1 obsessed with a pet while his daughter lived a life he never bothered to look at. And in every story, it is the women who pay the price for what the men want. Until the last one decides she has had enough of paying. Thank you for watching WordCap. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next recap. See you in the next one.